Well, let's talk about time travel. Uh, Einstein wrote about time travel, and it was kind of like an add-on to his theory of relativity. And then, more recently, Michio Kaku, which is probably the most famous physicist of our time right now, he wrote a white paper on building a time machine that will be stationary using quantum mechanics. And I read the white paper, and for a while it was on the internet. You could pull it up. It has been, since it's been scrubbed off. But he described it and how it functions. And after I read it, I got in a Jeep, went out in the desert, and went to a building, a small building above ground, but below ground, much larger, and I saw it. And it was a functioning time machine, stationary. Now, another way to time travel, if you have a spacecraft that will faster than the speed of light, you can do it. Okay?
Yeah, you can go to the future that way, I've heard, but you can't go to the past that way, right?
You can go either way.
Oh, okay. When was time travel established, or when was it invented? Do you know that?
Not invented here, but certainly Michio Kaku grasped the fundamentals, and they created a functioning machine based on his design. The other thing about time travel is it's partly gravitational waves. And Bruce Gernon, who lives in Florida, and he has a Facebook page, he traveled in time going through what they call electronic fog. And he was a pilot, and he was at an island east of Florida, and he was flying to Miami. And when he left this island, his tanks were full. And when he got to Miami, they were still full. And he arrived much sooner than he should have. And so he actually flew through this anomaly. It's very well documented, but it's a natural time portal. And portals exist.
How did you travel through time?
I used a stationary time machine, or I used a spacecraft.
Huh. Okay. How many times have you traveled through time?
Too many.
What are some time periods you've been to?
The furthest back in time I went to was 236 BC, and I took a team with me. And the furthest to the future was 2050, and I did a survey of the entire planet we call Earth. And what I found substantially was that the Earth was dying, and all life was in a die-off situation, and the oceans were dead. The only thing abundant in the oceans at that point was plastic.
That's pretty much already here. Like the garbage patches.
Well, you can't eat what you catch in the ocean, really. And the other thing is, when the oceans die, it's the end of everything. And we're seeing with climate change now, just the tip of the iceberg. But things are going to get a lot worse. And I think that chemtrails was an effort by the military to head off climate change, but I don't see that it's working. And there's some other things at work here also. We have a situation on the Pacific Rim on this planet. There's a lot of volcanic activity, and I think the planet itself is basically not making it a suitable planet for us. If we get a lot of activity from volcanoes, it puts us to a nuclear winter situation, but we're in a global warming situation, so it may balance out a little bit and slow down some of this, but I can't call it. I don't know that the volcanic activity isn't being prompted by someone or something. And let me explain that statement to you. They have very good video clips of UFOs flying straight into volcanoes.
The hollow Earth theory, yeah.
So some species of extraterrestrials may be able to live in these volcanic situations. Lava, they could live in it. So,
how many species of aliens are on this planet right now, you think?
The U.S. government has agreements with 4 species, and one of them is in absolute control of the planet. The tall whites, the Anunnaki, the Greys, and the reptilians. And I've seen the reptilians, and there was a report of reptilians eating humans over in Arizona. And what I first saw was a U.S. forestry report. You could Google this. And the report was filed by an employee of the U.S. Forestry Department and had photographs and a statement from someone that said they saw reptilians eating human flesh. And they also said in the next paragraph that they weren't on drugs or crazy. So I went to the place that they alleged, and the report, and what I found was 3-man sniper teams wearing military boots with military rifles. They said they were hunting for javelinas, and I didn't see any javelinas, and I had a partner with me, and we were armed, and I was sure they were hunting reptilians.
That's crazy. That's interesting, though. So
I've met reptilians face to face on a military base. I met the Greys on a military base. The Anunnaki, I've met them on the planet and off the planet. The tall whites have a spaceport on this planet in Nevada, and basically it's called Creech Air Force Base. It is probably the most heavily defended Air Force base on the planet. Creech Air Force Base originally in the 50s was called Indian Springs Gunnery Range. And you can Google this, and there's some great video clips on this and actual photographs of the spacecraft there. And I met them. They're tall. Their DNA is close to ours. They're highly intelligent. They look a little. They're not Nordic, but blonde or blue eyes, and they're tall. 7 foot, not a big thing for them. They can pass for us have probably worldwide, people follow my blog, and then John Titor on plus.google.com. I think there's somewhere around 100,000 people, and I have like 10,000 hits a month. And I'm read in every country except for Syria and North Korea. Go figure. And, you know, I ship a lot of my own books, but another company called Outskirts Press, they also ship my books. And I did a test with them just to see how they would do distribution. And I probably, I'm still kind of testing them. Now, I've written those two books, and it's been interesting. In 2016, I don't know if you've read much in my white papers, but I had these two guys approach me. One was Jason Quitt, and the other was Bob Mitchell. And Bob Mitchell had a very good reputation. He was a journalist. And I thought that I could work with the two of them. And ultimately what happened was I agreed to do a manuscript, and I wrote it, and it didn't take me long to write it. And it was published. I went on George Norrie's show, and instantly the book was a bestseller. And they took the manuscript without my permission, and they sold it to a German publisher. And he translated it to German and put out a paperback, and then went to hardcover. I never saw the contract. They forged my signature.
So they just stole your book and translated it to another country, basically, you're saying?
Yes.
That's fucking ridiculous.
And so then I talked to attorneys in the United States about it. And what they said, you have to hire a German attorney.
Yeah, you can't. That's how world laws work. Yeah, you have to go after them in their own country. You can't just because that's what I mean. You have a lot of Chinese companies that steal American companies. They basically just like take the idea and then go over there and just make it. You know what I mean? You're seeing a lot of theft of ideas, of American ideas right now.
And it just blew me away. So I contacted the publisher and told him, you know, you're publishing a book that you have no right to publish. And he turned a deaf ear to me. And ultimately, Bob Mitchell died. And then Jason Quitt, he's Canadian. I reported him to the RCMP and the FBI. And the FBI basically told me he's a Canadian citizen, and we don't typically go through extradition for this. And then they told me, you know, like, unless we have a case that's over $50,000, we usually don't even get involved.
Well, then go for 100,000. They asked for more money.
And so Jason Quitt thumbed his nose at me, and then Bob Mitchell's son, he tried to extort money from me, and we recorded those phone calls. And he's a Canadian too. Ultimately, what I did on Facebook is I just told everybody about Michael Magula, the German publisher, and Amra Verlag and Records. And I just said, they're thieves. And I'm fed up. And in the meantime, Jason Quitt, he's just a horrible sociopath. He collected somewhere around $250,000.
Off the sales of your book?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And he's from Canada, you said?
Yes, and then they tried to sell the film rights. Well, several producers and film companies contacted me, and they said, "We're only going to deal with you." And I have gotten to the point where I'm close to closing with one. And then my attorneys here in the United States told me, this is because they defrauded you, and the way they did it, you own the book now. So I republished the book as Authorized Chronicles of John Titor II. And then I basically wrote a book after that, Continued Chronicles of John Titor II. And what I wanted to do was explain, some of the wild accusations that are made against me. And am I the real time traveler? I'm it. I'm very old. I spend my time mostly writing or doing investigations. Some of it is paranormal, and some of it is about actual natural gates, if you will, in time. Okay.
So you came from 2036, right?
Yes.
How long have you been in our time zone? Whatever it's called.
Around 2000, and I was old when I came back to 2000, and it was hard for me, and the military didn't want me anymore. They said I was too old, and I was relieved of command, and I had a command, and I was at Area 51, and I was a little worried that what they were going to do with me. Was it going to be rendition or just a shallow grave somewhere?
Right, yeah, they don't want chicken out. You worked at Area 51 too, you said?
Say that again?
You worked at Area 51 also?
Yes.
I didn't know that part of it.
Edwards. And I worked while at Edwards recently. I basically consult. That's all I do. We talk about things. And there was a mission that they sent me on here a couple of years ago. And I went on the mission. And I basically had command briefly of a spacecraft. And I talk about it in my second book. And basically the way I write is I provide pictures, I cite sources, the URL, you can chase the URL and see that I'm actually giving you the facts. And then I'll write a paragraph of text. That's my style. I don't expect anybody just to believe what I say. It's too over the top for most people to grasp.
Do you have the ability to time travel right now?
Say that again, please.
Do you have the ability to time travel like right now, like currently?
I can. It's not the cheapest way to travel, but I can. And I read about why and wherefore in my second book, Continued Chronicles of John Titor II. And in my first book, I actually have the time travel manual. This is the first page manual, and the entire manual is in the first book. And in the first book, I explain it. And I think on Google Plus, I have a little time travel section where I talk about time travel and how it works. And it's not that difficult of a thing to do. And the extraterrestrials do it all the time. They come and go in time